to all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Shawn Whittington's Paranormal Ministry Live 2.0. I'm your host, Father Shawn. I'm an ordained priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother in the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I am a team member of the Society of St. Benedict and co-founder of Ghost Be Gone. And I'm just one of those kind of guys that like to have some fun. Still, after all of that. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try and have some fun because I have two great guests on. I've got a great co-host about to come on. And I promised them, and I promise all of you every week, and I promise Zach this every week, that I'm going to try to make my intro shorter. And I'm already off to a bad start. So here we go. What do I want to tell you guys? Other than I love you all and thank you all for tuning in, because I don't have a show without you guys. Anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. Everything you want to know about us is there. My books are there. You can get them there. You can get them at Amazon, a little cheaper at Amazon. If you get them off the website, they come autographed enclosed in a house blessing kit. My online course is there. A place where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues is there. Everything's there. If you go there to visit, though, remember my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, brothers and sisters. Believe me, I know. But if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our heart. And we'll put it to good use. Trust me. Having said that, I am going to now bring on my permanent Friday co-host. You all know her. You all love her. She's my friend. I love her. I respect her. She's also my publisher. And she's done this. The reason why I brought her on is because she does know what she's doing. And so that's why we make a great team. She keeps me in line. So without further ado, please welcome to the show the one and only Annette Munich.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. So excited to be on the show today because we have Chris and Harmony DeFlorio and just a really fabulous story, a really great book. They're really great people doing good things in the world. And I have a follow-up because the last time that we were on, we did a prayer for my son-in-law and his cancer had returned and he had a procedure and he's cancer-free now. So I want to tell everybody and thank you. And thanks to everybody that prayed with us. And thank you, of course, Jesus, for blessing us with that. We just found that out yesterday that he's cancer-free.
So cool. So cool. Now, no news is going to get any better than that. So congratulations. Give him a big hug and a kiss for me, even though he probably has no clue who I am. But on that note, I
knows who you are.
I already know I'm going to love the guests today, and I'm glad that Harmony was able to make it. There was a question that she might be working today. She was able to make it, so we got the dynamic para lovebird duo team of the DeFlorios on. So that's going to be great. Let's check the prayer urn real quick. What do I got here today? Jill P. from Nevada. Jill, you're in Nevada. Are you in Vegas? I'm now a single mom. Recently lost my husband. Oh, no. And my children's father. Other than being a housewife, I don't really have any other skills. Well, let me tell you something before I finish your note, Jill. That is a skill. Come on. That is a wonderful skill. And I'm sure we're a wonderful housewife and a wonderful mother. So don't sell yourself short. I have to get back to work. Pray I find employment soon. Okay, this may be a little old-fashioned, and I don't even know if this happens anymore. In your area, I don't know if it's the Social Security Department or the Unemployment Department, where you can get like guidance counselors that can kind of, get to know you a little bit and find out what is in your wheelhouse and try and find you work. I don't know if people still do that. Yeah.
Another great place to go and check is the Small Business Development Center. That's a great place to go in, and especially
They
for
usually have one of those in every town.
Oh yeah, they're all over the place, and it's
Okay,
very cool because they're going to take and they're going to help you find things that have you can do with your being a mother, being a housewife. They'll take and they'll put that into a resume and try to help you find a good place.
very
So
cool.
that's a really good place to go and check out is the Small Business Development Center. Also, use your job resource centers all over the place.
Very cool.
There's all kinds of places you can go.
Very,
And
very cool.
sometimes you can get jobs helping seniors in your area, going and checking on them, making meals, doing some light cleaning. They're, well enough to do some things for themselves still, but a little bit of help is good for them. And, you can be using your skills in that regard. And that's something kind of nice.
Jill, I'm going to try to pull out a very nice prayer for you here. Um, and I do know one I want to pull out, and I think it's in the back here. Yes, this is a good one. Okay, I offer this prayer up for Jill. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Blessed Anthony, our intercessor in times of need, you gave yourself as a tireless worker in the vineyard of the Lord. By our labor, we produce the things we needed for human life. So our work is honorable and holy and makes perfect the work of God's creation. Pray that I may find work which enhances my human dignity, draws me closer to God, and makes my life, as was yours, a real service to my fellow man. Provide for me while I am in this trial of unemployment. I need your help, blessed friend. Come to my aid. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. And I know you didn't ask for it, Jill, but I'm going to light a candle for you.
Jill, friend me up on Facebook and let us know how you're doing.
Jill, this candle will burn until it's done burning in the room where all my candles are burning, but it'll stay here with us during the show. May the Holy Spirit intervene in your life and stay with you on your current journey and on to the next and watch over you and your family. Okay. Alrighty, let's get the mailbag out. And this may be a question that's good for our guests too, so I may even hold on to it. Andy K from Alaska. Am I reading that correctly? Does my show go to Alaska, Zach?
You're so popular, you go everywhere.
I think A is an AK Alaska. I think so. Okay. Andy K in Alaska. I'm indigenous. Okay, he's in Alaska. I smudge often. I'm also a God fearing man. Since becoming a priest, is there anything you do different now when you smudge? Or do you still smudge? I do it all.
That
I do
is
it
a
all.
loaded and a very dangerous question for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I do it all. And yes, the only thing that's changed for me, I'm a when in Rome kind of guy, and I have worked with a lot of indigenous people. And if that's what they like to do, if they like the white sage and the sweet grass and the Palo Santo and all that stuff, I I I do that too. But what has changed since I became a priest was I use far more holy water, far more blessed salts, far more blessed oils, a lot more blessed incenses like frankincense, spikenard, things of that nature. But I still do when it calls for it, and the client would appreciate it. I do still do my fair share of smudging. I've got a beautiful. In fact, it's not. I was just looking at it. It's not on my shelf back there. I have a beautiful blessing fan that was made for me by a holy man for one of the indigenous tribes here on the outskirts of our town that I use for my smudging. So Yeah, I still do, and I know that's a big thing in probably in your tribe. Um, so there you go. But keep in touch. I'd be more than happy to send you a house blessing kit of a bunch of stuff that you may like to use too, Andy. So, and I'm going to keep that question out and ask, throw that at my guests too. Do you do much of that at home? I know you have your fair share of weird things happening when you do your editing and
Yeah, I
publishing.
I use blessed metals a lot, and I used blessed salt and a little frankincense and some holy water and things, kind of commonish things like that. And I have used Palo Santo and I have used sage in the past. So, um, and I think everything is effective, but you know,
Yeah. I do too. I for a while there, I was using a lot of this, and I still keep it handy. It's smudge spray. I bless it and put holy water in it, but it's a smudge spray because a lot of places where I go, the client's allergic to smoke, or they don't want their smoke alarms going off, or they don't want me starting a fire, which is probably a good thing. So I will come in there and I'll use way more holy water and salts and oils, but I will spray around the smudge spray just to kind of, make them feel good but I don't actually get the smoke going because they don't want that happening. But
I still tell people about in the book when you tied holy blessed metals to the end of a garden hose.
a
That's when
friend,
you know things have taken a really bad turn. When Shawn has a garden hose with holy metals tied to the end of it. But hey,
I just had a neighbor the other day say, I have no lawn out front anymore. It all died. Well, we're trying to save Lake Mead out here. So I stopped watering my front lawn. We let our pool drain. We don't even have our pool up and going anymore because I want to be that guy that tries to help the environment and help save our lake. So he came out the other day, saw me in my front yard, and said, I haven't seen you out here in a long time with you doing your mumbo jumbo stuff and with all the stuff hanging from your hose and watering down your house and stuff. I explained to him what all that was about. And he was like this the whole time.
real,
So it is what it is, but I haven't had to do that in a while. But it is what it is. But are you ready to bring on
I
our
so
wonderful
am. I
guests?
really am.
This is all I can tell you, brothers and sisters, about these two. I already know I'm going to love them. That's just the vibe I get. They are a husband and wife team, as me and my wife are, as my wife and I am, and they're just really really cool. Uh, they have a new book out. They have a great Facebook page. They got a great background in being first responders, which I love that about them. And I want to ask them a little bit about that too. But they're just really cool. I know you're going to love them, and you guys already know them. That's why you tuned in and want to hear what they have to say. Please welcome to the show the husband and wife demon busting team of Chris and Harmony DeFlorio.
Hey,
Hello.
well,
Hello.
so excited that you're here.
Thanks for having us. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Harmony, you look very pretty today. I'm so
Ah,
glad you were able to make it. There was a chance that we were going to lose you today, but you're here. Great.
yes. Hello. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, I promised you guys I would only ask a few questions, and I want Annette to get to you because you guys, she knows you better than me, and she edited and published your book, and I know she's probably experienced some weird things while doing that. Um, you know what? I'm probably going to ask you something that you didn't expect, and then I'm going to shut up. Um,
That's cool.
I love this. Has nothing to do with the paranormal. Maybe a little bit it does, but I respect the fact that not only Chris, you have been a police officer, you've been an EMT, I believe, or
Yeah, paramedic.
paramedic.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And Harmony, I know you still do that.
Uh,
Um, I just want you to know that me, I know Zach is all over it, and I know Annette is all over it. But I want you to know, as far as I'm concerned, and everybody that I know, we totally respect and love that about you guys,
Thank
and that you have um, what is going on with this world? And I know you guys are in New York. You guys have been beaten over the head and beaten over the head and beaten over the head with this defund the police stuff
Yeah.
and feeling like the world is against you. The world is not against you guys. But I know it must have felt like that at times.
Yeah.
Where is all of that in your lives right now? And how do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm retired right now. So I retired, and I'll be honest, I left that all there when I retired. It was a lot at the time, especially I was in Manhattan, where a lot of the activity was and the protests. So at that time, I was inside the precinct a lot because I was towards the end of my career. But a lot of the younger cops who were out, they were on the front lines dealing with the protesters. It was just a tough time. So when I retired, I decided, it's time to move on into a different area of my life. You can tell them about what you're actually doing.
I'm actually a private aide now. I'm a medical aide. So I work like dementia, hospice. So I take care of like the sick and the elderly now because I did retire from the fire department.
Oh, boy.
Because I got lupus.
I'm
Years
sorry.
ago. Yeah. Well, thank you. But so that is, so I do that. So I am in the medical field. And so, but how do we feel about that? It was a terrible time defunding the police and everything. And
it was heartbreaking, as well. It was just one of those times, I'm happy we moving on from it at this point.
Yeah.
So how is do you guys still live in New York?
Yes.
We're out in Long Island.
How is that? I mean, you hear horror stories about the city now. I mean, is that all blown out of proportion or is it bad?
No, it's bad.
Yeah, it's not blown out of proportion.
No.
It's bad. They're not to get too political, but the cops are they're dealing with the perps and they're dealing with the city. So they're, they have their, they have a lot of battles going on, trying to protect the people while trying to get the support of the city. And
talk about your head on a swivel.
Yeah, exactly.
And feeling like you have no support. It's almost like you really have to count on your brother, your partner.
That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Yep, exactly.
Wow. Right. I'm sorry to hear that, guys. And what's, for lack of a better term, what's funny, Harmony, is that my wife is a survivor of an extreme demonic attack, which should have taken her life. Due to divine intervention, she's still here. But many, many, many years ago, I was almost on another show. We were green lit to go, and it was going to be on the Lifetime channel. Back then, they called it Lifetime for Women. And my mentor at the time was an ordained exorcist and a female, one of the few in that field at the time. But she came under severe attack, and that left her with lupus.
Oh, wow.
And I know I'll let you guys touch base on your experiences with. There's nothing off limits to these things, and when we do what we do, we have more than just a target on our back. We have wanted posters of us hanging in hell, and we have to be very careful because they are capable of manipulating the environment and coming down. The vengeance is unheralded, and once you get God in your camp, there's nothing you can't do without your Lord and Savior and God behind you. But I'm going to go ahead and let Annette take over, and I want to hear, guys, I want to hear, if we have time, I want to hear it all, how you got to come to do what I want to hear about Africa if we have time, because
Sure.
I get requests all the time from these people. I have no money. I'm retired too, surviving from paycheck to paycheck. My wife's the only one at 80 years old, still pulling down a steady paycheck. But I get these people reaching out to me from Africa, come here and exorcise my whole village. The devil lives here. It's bad there. And so I want to hear about all of that. And I'll just let Annette take over. So anything you guys want to talk about is cool with me.
Sure.
Well, we could start off talking about Africa, or we could also talk about first, maybe some of the interesting things that happened during the book. And I want to say that the book was beautifully done. And I was so impressed by how he wrote and his determination, because we spent a lot of time talking about writing the book. And then once we were set that, yes, we're going to do this, he was getting up every day early, drinking coffee, writing every day. And I said, if you have like a notebook and just kind of organize your thoughts and make an outline. He had a great big whiteboard. He's got a dry erase marker.
Yeah.
He was completely thorough. And the book covers the whole Connecticut case, which was an exorcism case. And it also, and I love when authors do this, so I was glad he did it. It goes, one chapter will be about the Connecticut case. It will get kind of intense. Then it goes into their backstory, how they met, a little bit about each one of them's personal history, go into Africa. Also, it's in there about a demonic encounter in Florida.
Yeah.
And it goes back and forth. And then the end of the book comes all the way back around beautifully to the beginning, ties it all in a pretty little bow, was very beautifully done. So, and it was also like Olympic book writing, because he was writing, I was editing, we made a cover. How fast this was we just put a plan into motion and made an agreement February 29th. Within 2 months, it was published. I'm editing it chapters while he's still writing. And we worked on it. It was completely super intense, and yet still really done nicely, not a rush job. So, well, a rush job, yes, but not sloppy any old way, not like that. And so a couple of things happened along the way, and on their end as well as my end. And so, there's always the crazy stories. So I had two in particular, which one night I was sitting right here actually working on the book, and I looked down, I had a spider on my right forearm, on the top of my forearm, and I like smacked it and brushed it off. Within 5 minutes, I had a different spider on my left forearm in the same spot. And so then I was like, okay, well, I can't work anymore for a while. So I was just like,
Yeah.
But it was really kind of weird within 5 minutes in the same spot. And there's not a whole bunch of spiders here or spider webs or anything.
Yeah.
And then another experience that we had on the property, because we're on like a 5-acre mini farm, and we have these great big water tanks, and we, have about 5 of them. Well, one was in the greenhouse, and we went in the greenhouse and it was empty, and yet there wasn't any water all over the ground. It was just empty. And we had no idea how that could happen. I mean, even if you thought about kids came on the property, but it's all fenced off, and there's barbed wire and a chain at the gate. And if kids came on the property, they would do more than just dump out a water tank. And then where would the water go?
Yeah.
So then a couple days later, and we have 4 dogs that would have let us know if anybody was on the property.
All right.
The 2 boys weigh about 170 pounds each. They're Great Pyrenees. And so a couple days later, another water tank emptied. And so we had blessed metals tied onto the spigots with twine, and it stopped happening.
Gee.
You know what you
Yeah.
should start doing, Annette? When people like Harmony and Chris and I come to you with a book for you to edit, in your contract you should have a clause that we're responsible for some of the stuff
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
that you're gonna have to go through.
She kept calling me too and telling me, and I kept saying, just ignore it.
Right.
Send
Ignore
send
it.
us the bill for the new water tank and
Yeah.
yeah.
I could actually, I should be better about all the way along. I should have written down the little things that happen on
Yeah.
the books that I work on because I have some crazy stories. And
Yeah. You
I
should.
even have
I
like
agree.
going to work on the book, and all the pictures are upside down in the book. The page
Oh,
numbers are
You
scrambled.
have a book right there. I'm telling you. I
Yeah.
was telling you that
Yeah.
the
That's
stories
right.
you
Yeah.
have. So
So in a
absolutely.
weird way, I think that it tries to slow me down to keep
sure.
these stories from going out in the world. And
Sure.
then once the stories go out, things seem like
Yeah.
it stops happening.
Well,
But
I don't want to. I'm not going to air your business, in public, Annette. But a lot of
uh-oh.
the crazy personal stuff that you go through with your family is that.
Mm.
I think so
I
sometimes.
don't. I can't remember a person that I've been more in prayer for than
Thank
you over
you.
the
I
past
appreciate that.
since I've even known you, since we even first met. And I think some of the real heavy, weird drama that sometimes you and your family go through, it's
Yeah.
just not normal, is all of that.
Well, on a small side note, I asked Rick Keeber if he'll come on the show, so we need some open dates. And Rick is the one that I was doing his book, and I had that little girl ghost, and
Yeah.
I just she broke my heart because her story was so tragic, and she used to like to play in the bathroom with all the hair pretties, my granddaughter and daughters, hair things. She liked that. And that was a very strange thing. And that lasted for quite some time. And that came, no kidding, with the book. The book came in the mail. I didn't even open it yet. I put it on my desk. The weather turned really bad. I heard knocks at the back door. I'm just a few steps from the back door. So I walk over and open it, and the knocks were like, an adult would knock higher. So it was like a child. Opened it, there's no one there, and there's no way with the way our backyard and porch were that you could go anywhere that quick. So
Oh.
I opened the door, and it came, and that was a whole adventure in and of itself.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I pray for that
a
little
lot.
girl all the time. She just really broke my heart. I felt so bad, like nothing like that should happen to a person. But
No. No.
so that's enough about that. But I know that Chris had a couple things, and then
Yeah.
they could talk about the Connecticut case in Africa. You're interested in Africa. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
Anything you want to talk about, Chris, I'm open game
Okay.
for, and I also applaud you for. It has to be tough working with your wife, and
No.
I mean this, but I mean this in this sense.
That
I
didn't
love working
sound
with my
right.
wife.
That didn't sound right at all.
I'm not sleeping on a couch, Father.
This
I'm
is why I want to
asleep.
clarify what I really meant by that. What I meant by that is every time I work a case, my wife is very stubborn, and I can't work a case without her.
Yeah.
And she's
Uh-oh, is he frozen?
Wait for a second.
Shawn, are you frozen?
Right?
Oh,
FCC got him.
here comes the tech department. What
Are we still
happened?
on? Okay.
You think he
Like
lost
I
his
said, I think
connection?
FCC got him. They realized how the weird things he was saying, and they're like going, "Oh no, cut him off." So
Right.
Well, we'll just
yeah,
leave him
looks like Sean's
frozen
having a
and
little.
keep going.
Well,
Yeah, well, it looks like he's frozen right now. So guess what, Annette? It's your show.
Oh, look, I'm promoted. Cool.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you a little about what happened when we wrote the book. If you want to know.
But I know part of what he's going to say is that he felt like, and I know that this is true with you because I read it in the book.
Yeah.
When you have your wife with you, then you feel protective and you're trying to make sure that she's okay. And so as much as it's a help, it's also where you feel like you don't want anything to happen. Oh, there he
There you-
is.
There you are.
That is so weird. Well, things don't want us to talk about what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
And I was just about to say how these things are in my ear all the time when I go on a case
Yeah.
about what happened to Sharon. that they're not done with her yet, and why didn't you bring her along, and yada yada yada. So I worry, and that's how they get at you. They're like gangsters, and they come after what you love, and that has to be hard. Um, both of you, that has to be hard. She's worried about you. You're worried about her. How do you guys get beyond that?
Well, that's one thing we actually learned that was ingrained in us for as first responders. It's scene safety, right? You want to check out the scene, and it's your partner. So, obviously, like you're saying, it's a lot more serious that my partner's my wife. And, in every case we go on, we have a friend that comes with us, Steve, and the big meeting before is all eyes have to be on Harmony. I don't want any eyes off her. I want to know where she is, because a lot of times we split up in a house, or, depending on what's going on with the family, we don't know what's going to happen. So, that's my first concern. And that's what happened in the Connecticut case too. And actually you helped me a lot in the Connecticut case.
Yeah.
So, it's, it goes hand in hand, we help each other.
You know what I've learned a long time ago that people love, and I've had clients tell me this. I was so worried that when I called you guys to come and help us, 3 big black vans with 30 people were going to show up and blanket my home with all of this electronics and make such a big to-do, when I just wanted to be like under the radar and quiet and my neighbors not know anything. And there seemed to be so like a relief when they hear the knock, they open the door, and it's just me and my wife there.
Yeah, right. It's like,
so you must get a lot of that too.
Yeah, I mean, we show up in an Elantra, got a little car, we show up, and it's just us.
Yeah.
And it's very, and that's how we go about the ministry and everything we do. We're very, we look like just average people. I don't, when we're not doing a case, we really don't even talk about it in the house. It's business as usual with the kids, family. And then when that call comes in, then, you flip the switch and you're going to the house, to the case. But no, we kind of try to make it as normal as possible for people, so they don't get freaked out who's showing up. Like you said, a lot of people, because really, the object is not to put on a show. It's not to entertain anybody. It's to help them with the situation that they're struggling with.
Two extremes in investigating is commercial and in somebody's home. Yeah. And there's certain teams that they're just not built for that. And some teams are. Like I'm not built, my wife and I are not built to go to an old abandoned 5-story old insane asylum or hospital and give a thorough investigation. But these teams that would normally do that, they're not good to go inside somebody's home. So that's the big change and the big difference between those two approaches.
Well, the insane asylum bit, they're not trying to get rid of it. Also,
or somebody's not really in trouble,
and someone's exactly not really in trouble.
But going into the homes, and I think that's another big way God equipped us to do what we do. Because I was asked a question once, actually. They said, well, how can you just walk into this person? I think we were traveling up to Maine, and somebody said, well, how can you just walk into this person's house? I said, well, Harmony and I have been doing this for 20 years with EMS, with the police. That's second nature, walking into a stranger's home at the worst time of their life and helping them with an emergency. And the only difference now is it's a spiritual emergency. But the approach, I'll give you a funny story. So there was one case, Harmony couldn't come, and I took a friend of mine, Steve. And so he's the one who asked that question. We were going into some home in Maine, all the way up. And, he was asking me that. And I said, well, listen, when we get there, I'll tell you how it works. I said, there's one person who is in charge of what's happening. I said, all you need to do is just, have my back. You don't have to say anything. Let me direct the interview. Let me see what's going on when we get in the house. And he's a great guy, great Christian, loving man. I mean, I wish I had half of his heart. He's a loving man. We walk in, and it was snowing out. It was winter. And the first thing he says, as we walked in to the woman, he says, would you like us to take our shoes off? And she's like, oh, yes. And I closed my eyes because I'm not taking my shoes off because we're doing an investigation. So right there, we started like it almost turned into something, because I said, well, ma'am, I'm not going to take my shoes off. And she goes, well, why won't you? And I said, well, If you call the police for an emergency, they're not going to investigate your house in their socks. I said, I need to go look around. So it's kind of like the same kind of job you're bringing to the spiritual sense. You're still, it's still an emergency, an investigation. You're looking for a perpetrator. And a lot of the times, honestly, you're meeting these strangers and you have to be on guard to know who you're dealing with, because it can range from mental illness of a person, or even like, we talk about somebody setting you up to come in there, because we do have an enemy, even in the physical realm. It's the people who worship the other side, worship the devil. So
Yeah, we've had that.
we've had that where, but with the witches,
Yeah.
there was 3 women who we believe were witches after we were there, and we kind of had to end that. So
Sometimes they call you in,
yeah,
turning they're just a normal person
Yeah.
who's got paranormal activity, come and investigate my home, but
Yeah.
they have an ulterior motive. and they
Yes.
can-
yeah. Once we got in the media a lot and we were around a lot and we started getting a lot of calls, I had to really use discernment of the people I was speaking to, and a lot of times, I had to take my time with it and really listen to what they're saying and try, try to see if there was an ulterior motive for us to come, because you got to really be wise when you're doing this kind of work.
When Harmony had said, when you mentioned Harmony couldn't go on this investigation, I thought of a time, one of the worst times of paranormal activity here in the home was when Sharon couldn't make a case. She went through 5 years of battling 3 different forms of cancer as a result from this one demonic attack. And this particular night, she was too ill to come with me to this case. When I got back, she said, "What happened on that case?" And this was one of the deadest, no activity. I thought, what am I doing here? Spent hours there. Nothing happened. I got home. Sharon said, "This place was turned upside down and going crazy while you were gone."
Wow.
They waited for me to leave, and Sharon was home to then ramp up their attack again on her. So sometimes you're still worried about Harmony at home, even though she wasn't able to come with you.
Yeah, right.
Right.
We've had instances like that when we first got into the ministry as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't even about the cases yet. It was right after the Florida trip,
Yeah.
I believe, and I put it in a book. There was an incident where I was working the New York City Marathon, working the parade detail security at my precinct, and a lot of things. So I think 2 things happened here, but one happened with Samantha, right?
That was Samantha.
you could tell, yeah.
She was in the shower
Our
and
daughter.
she called me like screaming, and she said she heard a growl.
Yeah.
And and she was like alone in the bathroom, and
I think you were cleaning as well.
and then I was cleaning, and I was under the table. We have like a long table, and it had like picture frames on it and a runner and everything, like little things like knickknacks. And I was nowhere near the table, nowhere near it, didn't hit it, and everything just fell off the table. And
I think you saw the thing in the
and
basement.
then we have like a balcony where you can overlook in the basement, and I saw a dark shadow figure with a cloak walk by, and I thought I was losing my mind, right? And I'm home alone. He was like working like a 12-hour shift. I called him, and I had Christian music playing on the Alexa, and
it's a weird phone call to get, especially we were just getting into this. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, you got to be kidding me,
And it was like everything happened within like 2 hours of it.
Yeah.
It was like really.
You know what I do sometimes? I run in here. I'll immediately turn on EWTN, and if they don't have a live mass going, I'll run into the computer. I'll go online. I'll find a live mass taking place somewhere. I'll tune it in, and I just crank the volume up and walk away from my computer.
Yeah.
And it's even to this day, I see things all the time that make me shake my head and sit down for a second and go, okay, because I talked to a psychiatrist, a friend of mine. He's known me all my life, and he's a psychiatrist, and we talk probably for an hour once every month, once every 2 months. And I have a good friend that's known me all her life. She's a psychologist, and I talk to her once every 2 or 3 months for about an hour or two, because the last thing somebody needs is a crazy exorcist in their home.
Right.
So I want to make sure I'm the first one to admit that I'm not all, I might not be playing with a full deck. And I don't want, to make things worse. I already make things worse when I show up. And that's not even doing religious provocation. So, it
You
is what it
may
is.
not be playing with half a deck.
you
Man,
just
I love it.
Maybe an Uno deck.
you never know. And it's the day my friend tells me, I think you need to take some time off, talk to me once a week for an hour for about a year, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss
Yeah.
this path you're on. But that's important too, and sometimes you don't know. Did I really see what I just saw?
Oh yeah.
Well-
I definitely tried to do some debunking when everything fell off the table. Believe me, but
What about what? So interesting enough, when I was writing the book, we both saw something at two different times.
in the kitchen.
The kitchen.
Yeah.
I was there one morning, and I'm looking at the sink. I'm having my coffee. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and I see a mist going towards the sink. So I took a double take. I said, "You got to be kidding me!" So I saw it there, and I go to debunk it. I'm opening up the refrigerator, the freezer. Did someone just do it? Is there any condensation? Nothing. I couldn't see anything. Then I saw it again another day. So now I'm like, maybe it's me. Maybe it's the sunlight coming in. I have no idea. But then, like a day or two later, Harmony saw it. The same thing. So we kept seeing this mist. And oddly enough, we saw the same kind of mist in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So when we were doing one of the prayers, the confrontational prayers in the basement, it was the same kind of mist. I was when I wrote the book, I would get up about 3-4 in the morning every morning. That's when I would start writing. It was the most peaceful time of the day for me before the house gets crazy. And the smell of feces was always right behind me a lot. As soon as I finished the book, it was gone. It was so bad at first. Remember, we couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah, we kept looking for like the cat.
Yeah,
like,
something.
So, like,
yeah, well, what is that?
I kept
smell?
thinking it was the
But-
cat, and
I just ignore it. That's what I was
And
telling you. Yeah.
funny enough, I had an experience like that here where that it was that really bad morning and the book was going out and we had the
Yeah.
really bad weather, and all of a sudden everything smelled like rotten eggs
yeah.
and it smelled like septic tank.
Yeah. Right.
And it smelled really strong, like really strong. Not, do you smell that? It was like
Yeah.
right in your face. The whole upstairs smelled way worse than the downstairs. And it stayed like that for a while, even with spraying and the windows open and the fans on. Don't know why it happened. There was nobody here but me.
Yeah.
The dogs were outside. There was, and even if, I mean, honestly, if the dogs were to, get sick or something, it wouldn't smell that bad. It smelled real bad.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I
like your
have
eyes
these-
are watering. Horrible.
Yeah, I have these different degrees of that. Like I have the rotten egg degree, then I have the did something crawl into the house and die degree.
Yeah.
To the someone with chronic halitosis is in my face.
Oh,
To somebody turning me upside down and dunking my head in a porta potty.
yeah.
But it's like, and what I do is you need to smell those smells to know
Yes.
what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But I have but because they know that I can't handle it, I'll get really, really nauseous if I smell, if it's that bad, the house is so infested that it's like somebody is dumping my head in a porta
Wow.
potty.
Yeah.
I will pull out, I carry that CSI cream and I'll put that
Oh,
coroner's
wow,
cream
okay.
in my nose,
wow.
but only after I've smelt it, because I don't
Yeah.
want to do that first. And then I
Sure.
never really know if the presence is there. But
Yeah.
I hate that. People don't know unless you've smelt that smell.
It's like, unless you experienced it, you'll never
You'll
understand
never
it.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, listen. I mean, we got about 15 minutes left.
Sure.
I really want to make sure you guys get out what you want to get out. Anything you really want people to know about the two of you and the book, and any story you want to share, please, this is your chance.
Well, I just a big reason for the book was for people, honestly, to get to know us more. When we got into this field, it was there's a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of misconceptions of what we do. A lot of people, you got to understand, when we first got into the church, we got saved together at the same service, and we gave our lives to the Lord at the same service, and we went really directly into street ministry, right outside the four walls of the church, and evangelism was always the biggest thing. And the greatest glory to God in that whole instance was, especially with me, I was an introvert. I didn't like this, I would never public speak, and I would never go out and talk to strangers, and that's what we started to do, just 2 by 2, me and her. And so that's where we kind of planted our feet in the church for the next decade. And that's what, we were known as in the church. I would take the guys out from the church, evangelize, we bring people back into the church. But when this happened, that it was everybody, their heads were spinning, because it happened after that Africa trip. Because I went to Africa because I felt God calling me to help in a bigger way, to do something. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I just need to go. And when I went, I kind of went by myself, jumped on a plane, went there and met some great people at a Christian school. And I was just going there to help out with the situation with, the kids would take the water from the well at the bottom of the mountain, have to carry it home. We were doing things like that. And I never expected, to come across what I did. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't interested in it. And we went to the market one day, and the group of us, and it was just like you'd see in the movies. It had 100, 200 people just walking around. We're the only white people in the entire place. There were like 6 of us. So we stuck out. They knew who we were. And so as, they're selling goats, they're selling animals. But when we came around the turn, there was like a circle of people staring at this one man. And that's when everything changed, really, to be honest. This man was writhing on the ground, making a high-pitched, inhuman sound. I knew it. And he was eating his arm. He was trying to suck the blood out of his arm as he was doing it. He was slithering. And the people I was with, thought he was having a seizure, the way he was moving. And that's where, again, we feel God equipped us in this kind of field, because I knew it wasn't a seizure. I've seen hundreds since the 90s as a medic. So I knew it wasn't a seizure. And when I got a little closer, and to tell the story, it really, not to promote the book that much, but it really aligns with the book, the stories. I locked eyes with this man, and it was a specific look that I remember seeing, going back at that point 8 years, 7 years, when I was working midnight patrol, and I had 2 demonic encounters when I was working the midnights. The same eyes, the same evil, and I knew something was going on. And after that event, a little more happened, but after that event, I came back home, and that started me in a whole new direction. Because at that time we had the New York City homeless ministry.
Yeah.
I would go to Times Square after work. Harmony would make food and pack stuff, and I would go hand it out. And I knew everybody, walking the streets. And I started to look for more of the demonic, the more of, you hear about it in church. I think I even preached on it over the years before that, on the devil. But it's never more than, honestly, it was always a concept. They didn't bring any kind of, physicality, I guess the word, to it. It wasn't tangible. It wasn't something that was happening, in front of us, manifesting. And then I started to look for it in the homeless people who were addicted to the drugs. And I started to learn about Santa Muerte and all these other beliefs. And then more and more. So, when we got into this, then it got even more and more. I mean, it's a long story, but then the Florida event, 6 months later, we go to a nice Florida resort with our daughter for her Sweet 16, bring her friends, and the room's haunted. The girls are being tormented by this spirit slamming doors. I got a picture of it. That, again, the farthest thing from my mind. So we were kind of getting dragged into this whole.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a long. That's why I had to write the book, because there's such a story to it. I even had a dream 2 days before about what was going to happen and to stay away from this ministry. There was so much that happened, and then when we came home, we kind of decided, you know what, I think I'm being called into this kind of work.
Yeah.
And I took it step by step, and I started getting small cases to the larger ones, all the way up to Connecticut. And that's where Harmony really, I think, really grounded herself in this ministry, because I can remember something specifically, that when we were in the attic and we're going after this whatever this demon was, and it's manifesting in there. I mean, the smell, the roar around the house, it's all going on. And I expected my wife, honestly, remember, to jump out the attic opening, go down a ladder and leave the house.
Yeah.
But I was the one, I'm telling you, honestly, all transparency, I was the one that got thrown off. And instead of continuing in the prayer, I'm trying to figure out what this thing is. I'm like, are you kidding me? And she's like, no, keep praying, keep going. And she keeps praying the Our Father. And I think we really bonded at that moment. And I knew it. If you remember in the car, remember I said that? I said, you're called into this. And I knew it at that point.
Yeah.
And that's where the team really came.
Both are. I can tell you both are.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I would, and I'm telling you, I wouldn't do this without her ever again.
I think I'm destined to end up, as soon as I can afford it, I think I'm destined to do something in Africa, because many, many years ago, I was sitting in the living room and I had a couple hours to kill. And I'm a big Friedkin and Blatty fan, and I just happened to stumble upon Sharon's working in the office. She doesn't watch horror movies because she has night terrors. Who could blame her? But I'm watching. I see Exorcist 2: The Heretic. And I go, I haven't seen this movie since I was little. I got an hour and a half to kill. And then there's this opening scene there with Richard Burton where he's in Africa doing an exorcism. The noise from this scene caused Sharon to get up from the office and walk clear across the house and walk in. I saw this look on her face.
Yeah.
She goes, that's a dream I had. But she's highly psychic intuitive. She goes, that's the dream I had.
Wow.
But you're Richard Burton. It was you in the dream.
Yeah.
And so she thinks too that something's going to happen. I'm going to have to go to Africa. But that must have been.
You would love it. It's amazing. It's an amazing. It changed my life. And even without that one experience, it changed my life. To go and see what's happening outside of our little world here, it totally opened my eyes. I've never been the same in any way.
And he prayed about going to Africa, and then the specific amount of money that he needed showed up from just a
2 days later,
a source that he would have never thought of. And
we didn't have the money
kind of came upon him that, yes, I'm supposed to do this. Here's
the exact amount.
Exactly.
Somebody called with in the middle, it was like 8 o'clock at night. And it came from a place I should have never heard from ever again. And it had to do with when my father passed in the house. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And then Harmony said, well, I guess you're going. And, it was funny because then I went right to the phone. I bought the ticket, and I remember going to sleep that night. And I said, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to Africa. I said, something to talk about it, right? It's one thing to talk about it. And then now to know you bought the ticket and you have to go. So I'm like, wow, So, that was something.
Did you guys have fun when you come back?
I think in Africa. And I'm like, I didn't know.
Because an hour's not long enough.
Anytime.
With guests like you two. And, I could almost make a series with you guys, but it's, Annette, is there anything in just a couple of minutes I have before we have to kick them out of here? Do you have anything you want to say to them or ask them?
Just thank you so much. We had a great time. Thanks for saying you would come back. I was so glad to have the opportunity, not, just to have Chris on the show, but Harmony as well. And we never had a chance to really meet and talk. And actually, Chris and I never saw each other before. Wow. We just talked on the phone.
Yeah.
And the book is doing well. The book is in paperback, Kindle, hardcover, and audiobook. That's a new thing that I'm doing. We
And
should talk
one more
about
time,
that.
give a shout out to the name of the book again.
Called Into Darkness.
Called
Can I
Into
spell it?
Darkness.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
You
Do
know,
it.
real quick before I
Oh,
lose you
there
guys,
is.
Wait.
you know,
He's
Chris,
doing the Vanna White. He's doing the Vanna.
Yeah, I know.
Chris, you would get along with the abbot of my church, Tommy. He's a
Yeah.
retired police officer
Oh,
too. Um, I know you guys have your own church, but you can join our page, our group page, which is United States Old Catholic Church Clergy and
okay.
Okay.
Parishioners.
Sure.
You can just join the page,
Sure.
and you might really enjoy that page.
Yeah.
But Tommy, if you ever get a chance to talk with Tommy, you guys probably have a lot of
I'd love to.
stories of your guys' background to
Yeah.
share. But I love you both. I respect you
Thank
both.
you.
You guys are on. You guys
Love you
have to know
too.
you're on the prayer list. I pray.
Thank
for
you,
Oh,
Father.
thank
you
you.
guys.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
They're
But
my
I'm gonna
prayer
throw
list
some.
too every night with Archangel Michael prayers for
Thank you. Thanks for
protection.
that.
I will throw some dates, some open dates at you guys after we get off. I'll
Sure.
look at my calendar, and I'll have to have you guys back at least a couple more times before the end of the year. But I hope you two have a wonderful, wonderful remainder of your Friday evening
Oh,
and a great weekend. And God bless you both. And I'll be talking to you
God
guys
bless
soon.
you.
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you very
so
much,
much.
Father. Really
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Thank you
Bye,
so
Thank you,
Annette.
much.
everybody.
God bless you
Bye.
both.
Bye.
Bye.
Annette.
See you later. Annette. Yes, I'll throw some dates at you too. We'll get your other. We'll get your other. I've been wanting. You know how long I've been. Why haven't I had that other guy on the show before? The one with the little girl ghost that
Yeah,
follows.
I think I talked about it once. I think I started telling that story a little bit before, if I remember correctly. I don't remember who was our guest when I did that, but I think I did bring it up before.
Yeah, I have to reach out to him and get him on. But Chris and Harmony, how wonderful are they?
I knew you would like them. I
I knew I
knew
would
it.
too.
I knew it. And, just really great stories, so inspirational. The book is well written, it's well done. It's um, a lot of people that read it are enjoying it. And, they're just a really nice couple. So I knew you would enjoy having them here, and I knew you'd invite them back.
Oh yeah, I'm going to throw some dates at him. I'm always booked out about 3 months in advance, so I understand in that period of time things happen. Sometimes people have to reschedule, or they can't for whatever reason can't make it. But if I don't throw them in the next open date, by the time I get there, then I'm booked and then I don't get them on. So I'll throw some dates at him. But yeah, throw me. Um, I may already be Facebook friends with.
Rick already said he'd do it, so I just said that I'd see what dates we had available.
Okay.
And then if anybody's interested in hearing more about that story, that book's called Forever Ash.
Very,
And
very cool.
he's got several books in that trilogy that he wrote, and people could find out more
And
about.
you have to start working on your next book, which I already have the title for you. So you think you want to publish paranormal novels?
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
You look very pretty today. I don't know if
Thank
I told you
you.
that. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for being. I'm so happy to hear about your son-in-law and
Isn't
that
that
everything is
beautiful?
settling
That's
down.
perfect.
And you have a. Am I going to see you? When am I going to see you again? Next week. Next Friday, the 7th. Well, I'll be here Monday with Dr. Joy, but I'll
Okay.
see you next Friday, the 17th. Philip and Julia Syracusa.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's going to be
I
great.
know who that is. Yes.
Have a great weekend. I love you.
You
I'll
two
talk to you
have a
soon.
great weekend. Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, brothers and sisters, that was a great show. Yeah, we'll get Annette's next guest on. Annette will be back here with me on the 17th. We'll get Harmony and Chris back on as soon as I can. I loved them. That's a great story. Um, thank you all for. I've told you guys already. I don't have a show without you, so thank you all for tuning in. The church that I belong to, the United States Old Catholic Church, usocc.org or bishopjameslong.com. Go there, just check them out. Um, the links to Bible study, which is Wednesday afternoon and Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Pacific, are there. The links to night prayer, which is every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, are there. And the United States Old Catholic Church Clergy and Parishioners private Facebook group page. Go there, join. You might really love it, and if not, you can quit the page. But check it out. Um, Thank you to Zach and Adrian Clayton for co-producing my show. Check out Zach's website, communitypayitforward.us, and the PAC channel. Um, Still getting a lot of people asking about the show. I don't know if it's going to go to a season 2 yet, um, but it's streaming on every streaming service out there. So if you haven't seen Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcist, you can catch it at any streaming service. You can also buy it on Amazon Prime. Thank you to Things Network. Thank you to the PAC channel, little p, capital ACT, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel. Thank you to Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you to Spirit Alabama. And thank you to Parapost Network Central for all those networks simulcasting the show. God bless you all for that. And now it's come to the time of the show that everybody waits for every week. Bad joke time. I'm going to pull a bad joke that one of you sent in out of this haunted carnival barker hat. My poor attempt to put a smile on everybody's face before I say good night. Actually, I'm just going to go out and just say ahead of time, I like this one. What's even better than Ted dancing? Ted singing and dancing. I love you guys. I like that one because I'm also a big Ted Danson fan. Remember him in Cheers and all kinds of stuff. He's also a cameo role in an old movie with William Hurt, um, Body Heat. Check that one out. All right, guys. I love you all. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.